everyone. So in this next development update here, really quick on this Saturday morning, I sorted out the issues that I was having with the hand grenade system that I wanted to knock out. And basically on Trello, I wanted to be able to knock off this task as completed for this sprint before the 7th. And I think I sorted out everything I need without any polish. So some things are going to look like they could use a little tweaking, particle effects and stuff. Models, textures, and it's because it's in there. It works. The proof of concept is there and it works, but the polished stuff I can do later on. So I have a build, and in this build here, we'll just demonstrate the hand grenade going. So same thing as usual. I can run around and shoot. Let's just toss one with right mouse button. And it does a lot of cool things. It applies the explosive effect. It leaves a scorch mark. There was a blast wave and some particle effects. I have a limited ammo amount, but I can just start chucking these all around. And it really starts feeling like a World War II movie with artillery. You'll notice also that the scorch marks kind of just do a nice fade out after a certain amount of time. And I'm going to show you how that's set up. So this is my grenade prefab. I made some fixes to the grenade script. I added in the scorch object so that this scorch mark object, which is a standard Unity projector using the standard shader, is now an object I can disable or enable. So by default, when the grenade comes out, it's not turned on. Please ignore the stand-in art for the grenade. I just needed something that looked bright and blinked at me so I could kind of see it moving through the world. The game takes place a bit in the future, so we can imagine that maybe a hand grenade in the future would look a little bit different, but that is definitely proxy artwork for now. But the scorch mark, I wanted to figure out a way to fade it out and basically delete it or remove it from the scene or remove it from the pool. Well, it's not pooled right now. It's actually just instantiate and or destroy, but it will be. And I was trying to come up with like fancy shader tricks and stuff to fade values in a shader, and then just horsing around with the projector. I remembered like, oh, if I just pull it up in the y-axis of the world, it naturally fades out if I tweak this. And also with this far clip plane adjustment here, so you can kind of fade it with that as well. So I came up with a simple script called remove projector. One of the neat things is if I have this grenade right here, I had to do this because the grenade is destroyed and moved out of the scene, and that means my scorch mark would not allow to be in the world after the grenade explodes. So just watch the grenade here. Okay, the grenade gets removed. Scorch mark is still there, and then the scorch mark animates up and is deleted and removed from the scene. Now that will all happen in my spawn manager here, which is a pooling system, but right now for testing the proof of concept I'm just using a straight destroy command on it, but it will be a spawner destroy for the pooling system. So I just did a couple of coroutines that said 5 seconds in, move it up in the world. 8 seconds later, remove it, destroy it. Just literally destroy this game object, and this is the moving up in the world. Now normally you would move here with this vector 3 value here in Y, right here, but we're moving it up in Z because the Unity projectors, in order to project down on the ground, have a odd rotation towards the ground on them. So they're rotated down to face the ground. In the grenade script, I just grabbed a reference to that scorch mark object, and it's somewhere down in here, and I just said, hey, when the explosion goes off and the grenade's removed, immediately take the transform of this scorch object and make its parent null, which it's kind of like transform parent's a really cool thing. You can parent it to things in real time and unparent things, so it literally drags it outside of the prefab and keeps it in the scene, right? And then it has its own script, remove projector, that hangs on it and does its own removal for this object separately. So pretty slick, pretty cool little system that works for that. And I added a couple things in here that checks. It says if it's the player or enemy, you can damage the health and all of that. But for the explosion force of moving things around, I actually don't have it moving the player right now because I don't want the player getting thrown around the world yet. So I'm just saying if the tag's not equal to player, also if it's not equal to grenade, because in my first few tests, the force of the grenade exploding was actually throwing the grenade itself 100,000 feet up into the sky. So that wouldn't work. So at this point, I can obviously go in there and say, yeah, the force can affect the player, but right now I don't want it to. I don't want it. It will damage the player's health for certain, but I definitely don't want it to throw the player around right now. And then I also came up with the grenade throw script, which just says here's the throw strength that it shoots the grenade out into the world. Your arm throws it this hard. This is how many grenades you have. The throw rate is just to keep you from spamming the button, and I can set that to something like 0.2. Let me see and go in here, and then I should be able just to throw grenades like da-da-da, like a machine gun. Look at this. Oh my god, that was actually kind of awesome. So obviously, before the final game ships, I'll probably adjust this to be like per level adjusted or globally for the entire game, just to allow a lot of fun for the player. And I also put a new throw transform in here, which is where the grenade gets tossed from. The cool thing is when this proxy little Angry Bots comes out of here and Sarah goes in there herself, the little throw transform for the grenade would literally be parented into her hand, and she'll have ideally an animation where her arm goes back and she chucks the grenade, and then the grenade literally comes directly out of her hand. And it's not a complicated script either. It's just grabbing references, some transforms and some rigid bodies, and saying, hey, as long as we have more than 0 ammo, and the timer also for the next throw is allowing us to throw a grenade, then let's instantiate that grenade. And this is another situation where, except in this one, I am using my spawn pool to spawn in the grenade object itself, and I'm using the spawn pool to destroy the grenade itself. But I'm not using it right now to destroy the scorch mark thing. So pretty cool system, and if anybody likes, I could probably just do a pretty quick tutorial and go through the scripts for setting up grenade throwing and all of that cool stuff. I'm really happy with it, and I'm going to go into Trello and I'm just going to say, hey, this task is completed. So the next task I have is this volumetric fog. I'm actually not going to waste time and try to come up with this system myself. I'm going to try to find through Google Unity volumetric fog in clouds and just work with that, see what I can find that's open source or free. One of the next things that I wanted to do that I don't have on the Trello list is this dynamic hair system. I want Sarah's hair to sort of ambiently blow in the wind a little bit when she's standing still, and I don't want to have to do that with the animation. So I had a shader for a waving flag, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to try to just edit the shader to use the vertex color value on the object, so that like I think it already does. So if I paint these top verts up here like black and these down here white, these will move, but the hair on her scalp up here high won't move, and that's kind of what you want to do. And then just kind of messing around on that looks awful, but just messing around with like anisotropic hair shader on that side. So that's very much just R&D, and I think if you and this is how I did it: Jiggle Bones in Unity, and I usually just look by image because I can't remember the website. Looking by image helps you remember a lot. And this guy has a tutorial here for Jiggle Bones on something that looks like Lara Croft. Also, I grabbed his anisotropic highlight stuff information for the hair thing. There it is. And he did a cool tutorial on these like objects here in her ponytail and stuff, being able to flop around using rigid bodies and connected joints. And I'm probably going to use that for the most part of her ponytail and stuff. But regardless, I don't want to have to worry about animating these very tiny nuances of like little strands of her hair blowing gently in wind. And I also want it controllable to like, this only happens outdoors, you know, and this doesn't wave or move at all when we're inside of a building. that would be kind of sealed off or whatever. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope to have more updates here in the near future.